Track and field fans, did you enjoy your break? The Olympic trials are back in epic fashion. One of the greatest trials races I've ever seen. Apologize if I feel a little bit distracted. We're entering the bell lap of the second heat of the men's 5,000 right now. So as that goes on, the one track final though tonight was the women's steeplechase. We're going to be spending the majority of the show talking about it. What an unbelievable race. Val Constien, 11-second PB, 9:03 trials record for the win. But the story of the night, Marissa Howard, a ridiculous 15-plus second personal best to make the team. She had not run under 9:30 coming into this thing. Now she's running under 9:10 on the Olympic team. Unbelievable, age 31. Incredible. Courtney Wayment makes her first team as well. Olivia Markovic falls on the last hurdle. Trouble in the last water jump. Devastated, but she still PRs. Incredible race, top 9 women PR. All right, Whitty Kincaid is just one heat 2. Nur. People were counting. If only we had timed it better, well, then we were within 90 seconds of having the perfect time. How do I look, people? I'm no longer in the back of a car. In my home office, and for the first time, I have my Let's Run Mike flag here. I look incredible tonight.
Looking good, Robert. Looking good. But, yeah, day what? We can't count days anymore. Thursday of the trials is now over. That 5K is up. But it was a very light day on paper with only one final. That's the sort of problem when you have the break. Essentially, it's almost like another day one when you start back up. And this steeple final coming in, I mean, the storyline was, oh, wow, America has fallen off in this event because the two medalists, the former American record holders, Emma Coburn, Courtney Frerichs, both out of the steeple. And we're like, we're going to be an also ran at this event at the Olympics. And then that happened. I mean, I don't know where I've ever been more shocked with a race across the board than anything. And we should give Val Constien, I mean, she was an Olympian, 3 years ago? Huge surprise, unsponsored at the time, running for Tracksmith. Now she's got a Nike contract. She crushed Robert. I mean, this was so unbelievable off the board. She runs 9:03, 11-second PB. Courtney Wayment, 9:06.50. She's the only one who broke a 9:10 before, 3-second PB. Marissa Howard, over 15-second PB for third, 9:07. Like, what? I mean, and Markovic would have been right there if she hadn't fallen. But then it's behind her. Gabby Jennings. I wish I knew how much everybody's PB was. 9:12. Kaylee Mitchell, 9:14.
Well, I can tell you their PRs coming in. So,
I mean, it's just absolutely stunning. I mean, Allie Ostrander ran 9:21 in 7th. I was wondering why I wasn't seeing her on the screen. And maybe they all owe it to Annie Rodenfels, who finished 8th for the BAA. She took it out hard in 3 flat the first K. I mean, she's like a 15:01 5K runner, but she just went for it. And maybe that's what it took. Just dragged everyone to, I mean, this is just unbelievable across the board. Constien now the number 3 American at all time.
Not only
I think it's going to take sub 9 to get a medal, but we're just at such an overnight at a different place in this event.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about it. I mean, Gabe Jennings, she comes in seated 4th at 9:18. She runs 9:12. You think, okay, I'm going to the Olympics. And instead she ends up fourth. But what I was going to say about about Constien. Well, I mean, we keep thinking this is going to be an event where it's automatically a sub 9 event and just everyone's going to go there. But right now, Val Constien is number 3 in the world at 9:03. So could we get a medal despite Coburn and Frerichs being gone? That would be absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. So just hats off to the ladies steeple. Right when it ended, I mean, I was like you. I'm like, oh, there's one final tonight. This is a lame night. These women are just going to get slaughtered in Paris. And then when that race finished, I was just like, bravo. I started thread. Let's hear it for those steeple women. Marissa Howard runs a 15-plus second PB to make the first Olympic team at age 31. I I mean, coming into this, Howard, she ran at Boise State way back in the day. She had run 2 steeples. She did not break a 9:30 in either one of them. She did not won either one of them. On June 9th, I think, at the Portland Track Festival, she was 4th over 9:30. Like, I don't understand. How do you run 24 seconds? She ran so aggressive. And I was, to be honest, I was rooting for Markovic because I had my top 3 in the betterrunningshoes.com prediction contest. I'm like, I'm going to nail this top 3. And I was kind of stunned. Wayment fell back. It was in 4th. I'm like, oh my God, Wayment not make it. And if you didn't watch it live, it was just 4 women battling it out for 3 spots. And heading into the end of the last water jump, Markovic, the NCAA champion, had the lead. She really did not do well in there, landed very poorly, and then fell on the final water jump, just totally exhausted. Despite the fall, despite the terrible last water jump, she still ran like a 2 or 3 second PB. That's how crazy this race. But I mean, people on the message board are saying, right, like, I've never seen anyone run like Howard, like that, just possessed. I mean, it was just incredible. Like, I'm sure John will join us live from Eugene. Hopefully have some of the backstory. I think she's a high school teacher or coach somewhere. She's a mother. We saw a kid in the background. What a goddamn, but I did say afterwards, and me, it's not an official podcast if I don't complain about the broadcasting, because I'm just jealous that I'm never on the broadcast myself. Hey, they used to have a Princeton guy that was never Olympian. Was Craig Masbach never Olympian? He used to broadcast. Why don't they hire me? But right afterwards, I'm like, Kara Goucher's got to go. Like, she did not understand the significance of that race and the huge PBs. They went silent afterwards because they realized the drama, which is fine. Sometimes silence is good, but they need a statistician or somebody pumping this thing. Like, this was the beauty. Like, this is the thing that a grandmother who doesn't watch track could understand, just running the race of your life. I mean, like, that's the type of thing that you see, like, in a Disney movie, a corny sports movie that's not real. Marissa Howard, I bow down to you. That was just phenomenal. Constien was a badass too. Wayman, you got to feel for Markovic, but I think she can be the Wayman of this year's trials. Like, oops, I got to turn that off. It looks like the Peacock broadcast is now over. It's making a large noise. But what a race! What a race!
Yeah, like you said, Robert, it's like a fake Disney movie. Looking ahead, though, I guess coming in, who would I have expected to try to be a factor in Paris? And I would have thought of these women, the only one who really would have a chance would be Wayman. And now Constien's definitely leading the brigade. I think that's the thing she deserves credit for. She crushed these women the final, lap, I guess? I mean, because that was the thing. You're so focused on 3, you're sort of shocked. There's the battle with Markovic. And then I'm like, it's, she won by over 3 seconds. That's just a stomping. I mean, just A++. I mean, it's an A++ by literally the top 9. I mean, I was wondering where Chrissy Gear was, last year's champion, who runs for Hokanese Elite. I talked to her after the prelims, and she seemed totally caught up in her head. She qualified time for the final. And I'm just like, she's got it in her. And then I was sort of disappointed I wasn't seeing her on the screen. She dropped out. But this race was just at a whole nother level.
A lot of things to talk about. I can just answer questions from the chatters. Thank you for joining us live. While you're joining us live, follow us on YouTube right now. Go to betterrunningshoes.com. Check out our shoe review site, betterrunningshoes.com. If you want this as a podcast, you got to be a Supporters Club member. Go to letsrun.com/subscribe. Letsrun.com/subscribe. So people want to know if we went live during the 5,000. Yeah, we went live like the last 2 laps of the men's 5,000. It was distracting because I was trying to watch it and talk about the women's steeple, but I had to go live before 9:39, but before 11:39, otherwise we lost our window here. But yeah, Marissa Howard, will your dreams become reality? Yared Kerr wants to know if I've got his email about a coaching venture. I did not. I probably did, but I just didn't read it. Email me again, Robert at Let's Run. Robert at Let's Run. So, all right, I'm sure we can talk about Steeple more when John Galt gets on. Do you want to talk about some of this other stuff? People are talking about Hawker tier. I get, the 5,000 heats just ended. When I was entering on the plane back from vacation today, updating, I'm like, okay, the key to winning these prediction contests is updating your picks after you see the first round. And, I put Knighton in for the 200, but I wasn't really sure. Well, then I was like, okay, I was saying about the women's 200. I was thinking, is Sha'Carri going to win this thing just because she won the 100? When I was watching the 100, I'm okay, I got to remember, update my picks, pick her to win the 200. But then I thought about it. Even when she was in her prime in NCAAs, she didn't win the 200 NCAAs. Last year, even when she medaled at Worlds, she didn't win the 200 USAs. So I actually kept her off the win. I had Gabby Thomas winning, Mackenzie Long second, Sha'Carri third. Sha'Carri put up the fastest time of the day, though, 21:99 today. So I wasn't sure what to do there. And then I thought about taking Noah Lyles off the 200 just to be smart and prove my point with Knighton, but that'd be idiotic. So I went Knighton, Lyles, Bednarik, I think, in that order. But for the men's 5,000, I really did not know what to pick. And I was going through all these different scenarios in my head in the sense of, I was like, okay, well, when I heard Cole Hawker was running, I'm like, well, how is Cooper Tier possibly going to outkick him? That's terrible for Cooper Tier. He's screwed. And then I'm like, well, Grant Fisher finally won his first 10,000. He's clearly going to win this. But I'm like, wait a minute. On the podcast, after he won the 10,000, John had the stats. Like, was that Cole really that good? Maybe Nico Young's past his peak and Woody Kincaid missed some time. So I think we're going to learn about this. Is Fisher really better under the new coach this year or not? And then I was like, well, maybe Ben Thomas is such a good coach. Maybe Tier somehow does it. I'm like, why am I going to talk myself into picking Cooper Tier when he just got smoked in the 1,500? Looked terrible. But I was trying to come up with a scenario where I was going to pick. I've always thought Tier is going to be kind of the Craig Engels of this generation. And then I was like, well, wait, no. He if it's like, I was thinking, like, okay, Grant Fisher's not going to want to go super slow, so he'll push the pace. And then if it's pretty honest, Tier can outkick Fisher because they're similar, like 1,500 meter guys. Tier's a little bit faster. And then I'm like, if it's really slow, Hawker's would win it. But I'm like, wait, Nur always wins these things. But I'm like, wait, Nur only has a 13:04 PB. And I'm like, if Nur can win it with a 13:04 PB, then that means Hawker can win it with the 12:58 PB. So there was like a lot of things in my head. I can't even remember what I fucking ended up picking. I think I picked. Who did you pick, Weldon, officially?
I didn't change my picks. I probably should have. I'll have to look it up. But, bro, that was a lot of talk. A couple things about the 5K. The big storyline, Paul Chelimo is out. Two-time Olympic medalist at 5,000 meters. Just should almost have like a moment of silence for this guy's career. This guy was a gamer. He always somehow would rise to the occasion on the biggest stage. She thought he might pull one out of his ass this year. And, now in retrospect, in hindsight, it looks, he shouldn't have done the marathon trials. He sort of compromised both things. Speaking to him after 10K, he's like, he just said, matter of fact to me, he's like, I think my legs are trash. I'm just clearly not where I thought I was. And the other surprising thing, well, first of all, can we get rid of the time qualifiers? World Athletics is trying to get rid of them. Why do we have them at USATF? It's a huge disadvantage to be in heat number 2. I mean, in heat number 1. Looking here at the results, Thomas Radcliffe, he should be in the final. I mean, like, he was 7th. So 6 guys in the first heat go. Radcliffe just falls apart like the last, like, stumbles, and Graham Blanks beats him out by 0.13. So then heat number 2 just knows they got to run at 13:35. So Eric Vanderelds of Zap Endurance, I mean, you can see him on the broadcast afterwards. He's counting. He's just like, he crossed the finish line. 10th place he gets to go because top 6 and next 4 qualifiers. So I don't know, make a system fair. The only surprising thing, I mean, Cole Hawker was amazing. His final lap was, I think, like 53 seconds. Looks great. I mean, that Grant Fisher, if you're watching that, you're gonna have to like blast him from about 1,200 to go at least. It's gonna be a great final.
1,200 to go. That ain't going to hurt Hawker. It needs to be a fast race. If this race is in the 13, what was the time? 13:33. If it's over 13:30, I think Cole Hawker's your winner. It'd be hard for me to imagine him losing a race over 13:30. Now, if it's under 13:10, it's hard for me to imagine him winning this race.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm assuming it's going to be like I don't know. The 5K final is probably going to be earlier in the day. I need to check the weather and that sort of stuff. Actually, now we don't actually need a weather forecast. Sort of forgot about. I don't know. The way I see it, it's going to be Hawker, Fisher, and I guess I'm probably going to put Abdi Hamadnur on the team. Grant Fisher. Grant. If you're joining us now, listen to our podcast. We had a great podcast with Matthew Centrowitz. He mentioned a name I wouldn't even mention, Morgan Beadlescombe. So if Centro mentions someone, I feel like you better put him in there.
I haven't had a chance to listen to the Central podcast, but I have come up with an idea. Did y'all talk to him about how I don't think he's been honored at these trials, which is disgraceful to me. And I've come up with the concept. We always, even in the early days of Let's Run, like people are like, oh, is Weldon retired yet? I'm like, Weldon's not good enough to retire. Your career has to be at a certain level to retire. If you're just like, okay, good, then you just like quit and stop competing and nobody cares. But if you're like a Centrowitz and a legend of the sport, you should be allowed to retire. And I think we're going to break that news ourselves, right? Or have we broken it? Matthew Centrowitz.
The podcast. I mean, we said I kind of assume this, but he's like, yeah, that's my final track race. Track career's over. He's going to run the Chicago Marathon with some friends. He's like, maybe I'll run 2:30. I don't know how serious he'll take it. He acts like 2:30 is a joke. And his dad is the one who infamously had a bar bet. Apparently, we need this story confirmed. We should have asked Matthew. Apparently, it was at a bar bet the night before the Marine Corps Marathon. I bet some guy he could run under. I don't know what the time was.
We need the details. It was like 2 a.m. He's like, I could break 2:30 tomorrow, and he did it. And people had no way. And so, anyways,
we got the comment here from Brad Clams, and this was the only surprising thing for me in the 5K besides Chilima going out. Bad Clams wants to know if Drew Hunter made the finals. Drew Hunter didn't start this race. I'm just sort of shocked. He did so well in the 10K. He's running 13:06 this year, just off the standard, maybe 13:08, whatever it is. He just missed it. Like, why not? I don't know.
He had a path to making the Olympics in this event. He had no path in running the 10,000. I don't even understand why he'd run the 10,000. The 10,000 was a basically a masturbatory event. I mean, it was good for his, I ran a great race, but he wasn't going to the Olympics. I'm with you on this. But back to Centrowitz for a minute. I feel like he should have been honored at these trials. I feel like there should have been a honorary false start. It's the concept of you line up at the trials and then you just false start. He was injured. He should have just false started. The crowd could have waved goodbye. So that's my new thing. I want that to go on in the future. But Chilima deserves something like that. 2 Olympic medals for USA. Really good. So yeah, Centrowitz is on the regular podcast. He was going to be our special guest live, but we couldn't do it live. So we have him on. Apparently you guys talked to him for 90 minutes, which is great. He said, hey, I used to view you guys media as like a nemesis when I was competing. Now I realize it's kind of fun talking to you. And I was like, I'm thinking to myself when I heard that from you guys, I was like, yeah, of course. And after seeing Kerry Goucher not appreciate this Steeple, I'm like, I want Centro to do the podcast, to do Centro and either Emma Coburn, just new blood for 4 years. Let's get a new announcers. They can tag team the distances. They need a stat person to really just tell them what a massive PBs these are.
All right. Drew Hunter posted on Instagram that he came down with something in the last 36 hours. I warmed up because I wanted to give a chance, but things felt bad. So I guess that's it. But I see Jonathan Galt here. He's walking around, trying not to be in the press area. There he is.
Hey, Weldon.
Jonathan Galt from Eugene.
Yeah.
Jonathan, what the hell was that? What the hell was that steeplechase?
I'm trying to figure out myself, Weldon. I don't get it. Like Marissa Howard, look, if you've followed the women's steeplechase, she's usually 5th or 6th and does pretty well for herself considering I don't think she's had any sort of sponsorship for years. She was with Oiselle for a little bit and now is basically Tracksmith. But I'm looking at this. It took 9:07 to make the team. There was no Coburn. There was no Frericks. The reigning champion Chrissy Gear was injured and dropped out. If you told me all of that ahead of time, I would have been like, okay, yeah, you can probably make, well, ahead of the meet at least, it would have been like maybe 9, teens or something makes it. Took 9:07. This was like by time, the hardest steeple team ever to make in the United States. So, well, I don't get it. I really don't.
John, it was amazing. I didn't go through Marissa's stats. By the way, there's an amazing website that no one knows about. It's called trackfield.brinkster.net. You can see every USA finish ever. You got to pay for it, though. But Marissa Howard, 5th, 2023, 5th, 2021, 5th, 2019, 6th, 2017, John. So you nailed it when you say she's 5th or 6th. Those are her only finishes at USA's. But by far the fastest time. I mean, the fastest third placer at USA's before this was last year 9:14.63, and it takes 9:07 this year, which is pretty remarkable.
Valerie Constien tonight, she ran like 1 second off Emma Coburn's PB. Like Emma Coburn in her life, she has run faster than this maybe once or twice. So, okay, maybe go on shoes or whatever, but this is like a freaking, she PR'd by 11 seconds as well. So I'm struggling to make sense of it, but it was an awesome race. Terrific drama on the last lap. Like it was amazing. There was only one distance final tonight, only one track final period, but it was a good one.
Well, first of all, the weather was perfect. It was like 71 degrees. And I do think that this is a reminder for all the skeptics out there. I mean, you see something like that in another race, like your first instinct is drugs. But like what special drug would all these women, many of them unsponsored, who I don't think are just, if they were going to cheat, they would have cheated a long time ago just fine. So I just think sometimes this is why we love sports. Shit you do not expect happen. I mean, the Marissa Howard thing is great. I mean, have y'all talked to her yet? John, she's not broken 9:30 this week.
Yeah, I don't know. We've talked to Val Constien, but they took the other two, Wayman and Howard, directly to the awards ceremony. So I'm going to have to hop off here once they come through the mix zone. We haven't talked to her. And yeah, I mean, I've been talking to some other journalists and just like, is there anything to indicate something like this was possible? Like 31 years old, the Olympic trials final, you're on a 15-second PB after running 9:34 in your last race. I don't get it, but it's crazy. That's why they run these races. That's why we have a top 3 past the post, because otherwise you could be missing out on a 9:07 woman. But Robert, I'm looking at this. I'm like, look, Val Constien, she ran 9:03. Like, I know there's some sub-9 Africans out there, but 9:03. Emma Coburn's medaled a bunch of times, and her PB is 9:02. So she could have a just shot to do something in Paris.
Yeah. And we did want to give a shout out to Annie Rodenfels, John, for taking it out 3 flat for the first kilometer. I think he got the other women going. Carrie Goucher didn't know what was going on. I think what was going on is she's got God's worst steeple form I've ever seen. So she's probably not comfortable hurdling in a pack. Like that was painful to watch. But
100%. That's exactly what that's what Rodenfels said. She also basically, she's got the yips. Like she said, look, I've practiced on this. She actually thought this was an improvement on some of her recent steeple forms, but she's like, I know it can't be this bad after practicing it this much. I swear I am working on it. And she thinks it's a mental block, but she has this very weird form where she takes this stutter step to the right, almost like she's trying to beat a defender in basketball. And then she clears I'm just like, I think she needs to, to the left. Sorry. But I don't know. She did run a PB tonight, 9:22. So good for her. But I look at that. I'm like, she should be running this event. If you can't clear the barriers, or you need to run, you can't have anyone near you in order to clear the barriers, you probably aren't a steeplechaser.
But it's probably smart for her to run the steeple. I mean, she's a 15 flat 5K runner, and there's a better chance. And I didn't notice the yip thing until like, which had this big lead. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. I didn't know she was doing it the whole race. John, yeah. Coburn and Frericks have both run faster than this twice in their life. I mean, this was just stunning. She crushed them the final. I looked it up. I just rewatched the race. The final 300. Bad Clams here got a comment. I was wondering if they started at the wrong place. I mean, even if they missed the hurdle, it wouldn't explain these times. Like, that was a 15-second PR. Constien's 11-second PR. Like, I'm looking here at the Marissa Howard's, all-time top 10. She's broken 9:30 5 times in her life till today. She dropped 907. Like, this is just nuts.
Oh.
I mean, you know, a 920 would have been
Did
a
we
good
double
race for
check
her.
the start line? They started in the right race, on the right place.
If someone would have said something, someone less run would have noticed by now. I feel like the start, maybe a hurdle is missing, but there's no way. Like, a hurdle would only explain a few seconds. It would explain 15.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, it used to be you could run in the 9 teens or low 910s, and you'd be making U.S. teams pretty much every year. And Gabby Jennings ran 912. She wasn't even close to making it on the last lap. She missed by 5 seconds.
Can I unrelated to that, but this is just idea for you, and I haven't had my vent yet. But some of these other races today, John, we had the 800 prelims. There was some sprint race where every single competitor made the next round. It's
Women's
really
200.
just it's very disgraceful what USATF does, and I've said they do not care about the low person whose dream is to make the trials. And it's really disgraceful. They had a men's 800 with just 27 people. Like, you want it to be more dramatic than that. You need to have 4 heats of 9. Then an extra 9 guys get to say, hey, I made it to the Olympic trials. There's 9 more people into it. And, just that dream is powerful. And you're seeing it I'm into the PGA Tour now. Some guy made some one qualifier, then the Monday qualifier, had 3 beers, made the tournament today. The whole nation's behind this guy because he got in and got to compete, and he made it to the next round, and people were excited about it. And people can relate to the drama of this trials. Like the Brits who want us to get rid of this trials. No, I'm sorry. It's the best track meet, maybe better than the Olympics, to be honest, just because the devastation might be worse not going to the Olympics.
But here's the thing, Robert. It's a 10-day track meet, though there's 2 rest days in the middle, so it's an 8-day track meet. But they could. It looks like one of the steeplers may have come in. Yeah. So my point is, they don't need to run these. If you're trying to mimic the Olympics, okay, but they don't mimic the World Championships and World Championship years, and we still end up selecting a pretty darn good team every time out for World Championships. So I just think some of these either expand the fields, like you said, or just get rid of it, because this tonight we had 4 hours of track, and how much drama was really in any of the track races? There was drama in the steeple final, and pretty much
John,
every other.
It's insulting. It's insulting
formality.
to the fan. It's insulting to the fans not to have more drama. That's why you want to have more people, and you shouldn't have time qualifiers. So you have more people who are excited to be there. It's their dream, and they don't fill the fields. And there was the help me out with her name, the 10K girl from Cornell when I was coaching. She was on the borderline for the 10,000. She flew out to the trials. They had several scratches, and they did not put her in the field. Emily McCabe. And I'm like, for the rest of her life, she could have said she was an Olympic trials qualifier. Instead, there was no reason not to do it.
I'm going to go and do some interviews. I'll be right back, once we're done. But the steeple finalists, the Olympians are in the mix zone. So I'll be back in a bit.
Go for Howard over anybody else. All right, we have 2 guys actually doing interviews for us there. Dave Ross doing it as well. So if John can't get them both. But yeah, no, we're talking about the heats. Like, no one was eliminated for the women's 200. They should fill the fields, and just, it's kind of hard because you don't know how many people are going to double back, and they kind of want to protect some people, like, I guess. But it's stupid. It's like insulting to the fans. I've been going on this for years. I know the last trials I complained about it. I've probably been complaining for 8, 12 years, but nothing changes because these people are not forward thinking, and you need the drama. Like, it's the concept of like relegation. I actually think like, whatever, just, I don't need to go off on that every week. But anyways, amazing women's steeplechase. I guess one of the few people that didn't run a personal best, although she did run a seasonal best, was Kaylee DeLay, former yellow runner, now for Brooks Beast. She was next to last, 9:29. But, the only DNF was Chrissy Gear, last year's champion. So it is really amazing. If I told you, okay, coming into this year, you're going to have Chrissy Gear DNF the trials. You're not going to have Fryricks or Coburn run the trials. I think a lot of people might have thought, they thought Wayman would maybe break 9:10. But everybody else in the U.S., they might be stunned if they broke 9:15. And yet we had 6 women break 9:15, including one that fell, Olivia Markovic. Just congrats you. If you're one of these women, just pat yourself on the back. I mean, even Ali Ostrander, 9:21 PB, super impressive. All right, men's 800. Nothing really dramatic. It's just a shame to me that they had 9 heats of 3 heats of 9 and 6, 14, 20. Is that right? Why would 20 people make it? Oh, the 4 heats, 4 heats of 9. So they had 27 people make it. Interesting enough, Sean Dolan, formerly of Villanova, now with Atlanta Track Club, did not make it. He's one of the few people not to make it. But, it's kind of fun because you've got guys like Tanato Matasada, the freshman from Georgetown, who's in this race, didn't even make it to NCAAs. So, just let more people run. Everyone wants to say they're Olympic trials. They're going to get their all their high school buddies are going to be excited. Their fans, their family. When Weldon told people as a professional runner, they get a blank stare. When he told them he was in the Olympic trials, everybody on the plane's like, oh my God, you're in the Olympics. It's so exciting. It's so cool. So, all right, that's men's 800. Nothing to really talk about. Men's 110 hurdles for today. Also, Grant Holloway, another sub 13, 1296. Freddie Crittenden, 1305. I mean, how many unsponsored / Tracksmith guys are going to make the team? And then Daniel Roberts, 1311. But I think as long as Holloway keeps running under 1305, he's safe. But he's got to figure out the end of these hurdles. Women's 1500, 3 heats. The fastest heat was the last one. Ellie St. Pierre, Emily McCabe, the New Balance Boston teammates go 1-2, 406. You had 10 women qualify for that heat. But just the depth of the U.S. women is unparalleled on planet Earth. I mean, in one heat, we had 10 women at 408. In the second heat, we had 7 women at 410. And the first heat was the slow heat. But Sage Hurdy-Clucker did come back. We've got Cranny coming back from making the team. It's an interesting dichotomy because you've got some of the 5,000 women coming down, some of the 800 women going up. And in terms of my picks, I'm very confident in Ellie St. Pierre. And also, I think Nikki Hiltz hasn't run a bad race all year. Emily McKay is the U.S. leader at 800. She passed that up to run the 1,500. She medaled at World Indoors. So I was like, that's your team, those 3. I'm leaving out Elise Cranny, obviously. I'm leaving out of Sinclair Johnson. Sage Hurdy-Clucker is going to be motivated for messing up. I mean, Corey McGee's made a ton of teams in the past. But
wait, who's your third? Okay, Ellie's my only walk, and then who are you going with?
Emily McKay.
Okay.
And Nikki Hills.
What about Heather McLean?
Well, I mean, I guess you could have a New Balance Boston sweep. But I just think Nikki Hiltz, has been better, right? This year.
Probably, but it's only round 1, so.
That was before. I didn't even watch the heat today. As John said, it's a long day. But, if you look at Heather McLean, she did not run indoors, but she's gotten better. She 203 in March, 202 in May, 158 June 8th. 1,500, she's gone from 414 to 408 to 402 to 402. She's won her last 2 1,500s. So, I think that, someone very deserving is definitely going to miss out on that race because, there's more than 3 good women and there's only 3 spots. And that's what makes this meet so special. I'm actually looking up the 2021 results. It was Emily St. Pierre 1, Corey McGee 2, Heather McLean 3. I just think Hiltz had been on fire. They have never made the team before. And, 3rd in 2019, the winner last year. But McLean did surprise people last time, that's for sure.
Yeah. Sadie Englehart, the high schooler, 17 years old, was last in her heat.
I'm glad she got in because she's been chasing time. So they just let her in because they felt sorry for her and she's a high schooler. They didn't do the same as Emily McCabe from Cornell. But so they finally actually did some PR and thought, well, it's good if we let the high schooler be the last qualifier, or is there a set number they have to let in? But I'm glad she got in, but she didn't hit the auto time. I know that much.
What was the auto? Anyway, she run 408 this year. I mean, she was a little bit off. Also, like, it just shows the difference in these like road races. Rachel MacArthur, who won the U.S. Road Mile, she didn't make it either. And, we had 24 of the 38 people. They took 38, Robert. So I think I'm wondering if Engelhard hit the time. I'm going to look up at the qualifying time. But, I mean,
I don't know.
When that many people make it, I'm sorry, you got no excuses. So it's good to see, all the high school kids here, but it's, we think back to like, Mary Kane and crew, Alexei and Efrenson. I mean, what they did, man.
There are two options, really for these trials. It's like you either get rid of the rounds and don't try to mimic the Olympics. And that's actually how the trials got I think Eugene got their first trials in 72 because they said, hey, we're going to just imitate the Olympics. And LA was trying to get the trials. Like, we're not going to do that. It's a waste of time and money. But Eugene wanted to do it. I think it's the best way to pick the team because you're imitating what's going to happen in Tokyo. But you either put more people in or you cut down the rounds and just make it a normal USAs or maybe a slightly enlarged USAs. But just having no one get eliminated, I've been ranting about it for years. All right, women's 400 hurdles. We haven't talked about that. Sydney McLaughlin-Orvoni, 53.07. Surprise, surprise, she led the way. Shamir Little was third fastest, 54.93. And Akako, 54.71. Delilah Muhammad, only 55.51, second in her heat. I mean, it's going to be the Sydney show, right?
I mean, why are we even talking about this event? Yes. I mean, what? She ran, let me see how much faster she ran than everybody else today. And I did look it up. Sadie Engelhart, this automatic standard's 406. And they said they want to take 36, yet they've had 38 people in this race. So the women's side at least filled the field. Whereas on the men, this is for women. Let's see what they're saying here for men.
Wait, so they took 38? So they went out of their way to take her?
I don't know if they went out of anyone's way to do anything, but they have 38. Whereas for the men, they say the minimum, I guess you have to run under the minimum of 147.5. They want to have 36 men for the 800, yet we only filled in.
Well, they had 36.
We had 36. This is how they wanted to do it, Robert, of the men, which is crazy. 36, and we're taking 27 of them in the next round.
Well, so that's where
the 48 to 27, something like that.
And no, they're trying. You either go 48 to 27 or 45 to 27, but they're trying to imitate the Olympics and the World Championships, where the most difficult thing in all of the Olympics is to go from 24 in the men's 800 to 8 in the final. And it's not really a fair way. It's not like the sprints. Sprints do the same thing, but in the sprints, it's a time race. People go out. 800 is a tactical race often. Some people are better in slow races. And it's top two and the next two. I don't like that. It should be top three. So they're trying to go to 24, 27 in this case because it's a 9-lane track down to 8. They should not do that. If they're going to go 36, the easy scenario and make it more dramatic for the fans is cut the field in half. And again, they're going to be getting rid of the time qualifiers in the Olympics. We'll see what the rapid charge rounds like, if that's any good or not. I thought it was stupid, but the concept of having no time qualifiers, I like. And you could easily just do 36 to 18. And you say you can't do top 4 because it's 9 per heat. But, if it was an even number, you could just do the top people in the heat. Here you could do top 4 in the heat automatically, and you have a few time qualifiers, I guess. I don't like time qualifiers. But then you have some drama. Like, okay, but it'd be easy. Find an easy and even number and just do the top people somehow. You could do 48 to 24. You could do Well, you could do 30, 36 to 18, but it wouldn't be. You couldn't just. You'd have to do 4. You'd have a few time qualifiers.
Wait, I see here in the comments by Chuck Lum, Craig Ingles didn't run the 800. And I went and looked it up. Craig Ingles didn't even qualify for this meet. This is what we're talking about. Guys like Craig Ingles and Shane Stride, they didn't hit the standard. They weren't in the meet.
Well, that
minimum standards, or I guess you have to be top 36. So they weren't in the top 36. They weren't in the automatic standard of 146.3. That's crazy. If you're going to eliminate 9 guys, like I doubt Craig Ingles would have been a factor, but he wasn't focusing on this event. Like
it would be more
on
interesting.
bigger fields.
Could Craig Ingles have pulled the Marissa Howard? He's been saying all spring he's in great shape. He was going to go for the 8. But I was wondering if he's going for the 8, why isn't he racing the 8? It didn't make any sense to me. And he's only broken like 146 once in his life. Is that right? And, I'm friends with his high school coach. I was like, this guy needs to race more. But I guess maybe Van Hoy's college coach maybe realizes he doesn't have the speed. I don't know. But I would have loved to have seen him. I didn't realize he didn't run it. So 147.4 got you in the meet, it says Weldon. So that was the lowest time qualifier.
This says Ingles had ran 146.86 this year and 147.0.
Maybe he didn't enter.
No, he's on the entry list. I see him right here. Status of entries, 800 meters. It says, I'll just go down the list to see where they cut it off. Accepted, declared, accepted, not qualified. 146.75 was the last guy in the meet. So, and Ingles ran 146.86. So, this guy must have meant to type 146.8 instead of 1. Well, I don't know. But I don't know. I want John to come back on this show just to tell us like
how just texted his coach, Chris Catton. By the way, if your high school needed someone to coach you, run CCG. It's a great online training format. Chris Catton will text you your workouts and you can be the next Craig Ingles. So that is news. Eric Holt was in the 800. He's claimed recently that he's an 800 meter runner. We'll see. He's made it to the next round. He's also signed a pro contract with Puma, which is good for him. Some people were wondering whether Graham Blanks was pro, and I saw New Balance, but I don't think anything's changed there. He'd already signed an NIL with New Balance. So you can sign an NIL. Some people sign their NILs and they run for the college team because the college team still pays their expenses. If New Balance is paying his way, then he's going to run a New Balance. So it would make some sense. He could join New Balance Boston while he finishes up his senior year at Harvard and still train under Coogan. But he'd have to give up his NCAA eligibility. So I wouldn't want to do that. Plus, if Harvard's ever going to win the men's cross country HEPs, which they haven't done in like 50 something years, they need him on the team. So I'm sure the Princeton boys would be happy to chip. The Princeton alum should get a GoFundMe and pay Blanks to go for free. By the way, so there's been some controversy about paying people, whatever. So James Corrigan, the BYU guy who was third in the Steeple, is going to run this pin relays meet, and on Saturday he needs to get the standard. And I saw a tweet this afternoon from Rory Linkletter, and it sent me made me apoplectic because he was praising this. He says, "Shout out to the powers that made this possible. Someone put up prize money to make the pin relays a high-level enough label over on the World Athletics calendar for substantial points. Now James Corrigan just needs to run 8:20 to accrue enough points to go to Paris." And I think the way we qualify is absurd. They need to have quota reallocation. Top 3 go. If the U.S. is sending 3, any 3 go. It's a dramatic thing. It's a very simple solution. Whatever. The world ranking system is flawed. I don't think it's great, but I don't think that certain meets with certain prize money offer more bonus points. But that's because the meet's supposed to be a higher level competition. You shouldn't be allowed to just get a rich donor to add to the prize pool with like 2 days notice and then give away extra bonus points and then have one of the best steeplers in the world rabbit the race and purposely drop out. Like that would be, as I said on the message board, like this
Robert,
is the
nobody cares. They've done this stuff for ages. We used to try to set up meets to run fast times. We went to hammer throw. They put on at the last second. It's sort of insulting that you can put up $2,000 of prize money at the last second and make a meet a higher quality. But people crunch the numbers. He still has to run like 9:15. They were off on their math. He needs to run fast. So, but it's sort of a joke in our sport that $2,000 total prize money for the meet going to the best scored thing. So if somebody runs faster than 100, they would get more points, can get you points. I mean, this, and the bigger picture is, Robert, you just say this to me. Is this ranking thing really raising the profile and getting people to run important meets? Not as much as it was meant to. They still need to fine tune this thing.
Well, they do race more often because you can go to these obscure meets and get more points. So are you saying it's a good thing? Yes, people have always abused the system. Yes, I ran my marathon PB on a downhill Las Vegas course. Like, yes, people are trying to exploit the rules, but this is what I wrote. This is absolutely disgraceful. A meet with a certain amount of prize money is supposed to offer extra points because it's higher quality. People knew about it for a long time and thus could enter. Drop the prize money on like 1 day's notice so a college-educated white guy can go to the Olympics is absurd. What if the person missing out wasn't Evan Jager, but was instead some poor black guy from Botswana or something? And then Brooks is going to drop out. How about an honest effort rule? This is like the definition of fixing a sporting mitch, and yet Roy is praising this tweet, is sending out a tweet praising it. I think the bonus points should be stripped from this race and they should not count. This reminds me when everyone at Nike was wearing the cheater shoes and no one else had them, and they didn't realize how much against the spirit of the sport this was. Should we get Jager fans to raise money now so he gets a random Kenyan to come in and make sure that he beats Corrigan so he doesn't get the bonus points? Like, do it now. I sent this to our employee, Steve Soprano. He's like, I want Corrigan going over Jager. He's crushed him. He deserves to go. He does deserve to go. And I kind of understand, like, if you think the system's flawed, you might just exploit it. But it's just coming up with money at the last minute is absurd. This is really on World Athletics because Corrigan is a deserving Olympian. He's better than Jager at the trials 2 days ago. So I hope that he runs under 8:15. I hope that he does not. If he gets in because someone upped the prize money, I want Evan Jager to go over him, period. By the way, if you're having trouble watching the highlights on Let's Run, you need a VPN. Change your IP address to the US. You can watch NBC highlights. Use the VPN we use, nordvpn.com/let's run. Don't just go to NordVPN. Go to nordvpn.com/let's run. Then we get a little bit of money from the lifetime that you're on the contract. Also, remember betterrunningshoes.com, betterrunningshoes.com, and hopefully sign up for the Supporters Club, let'srun.com/subscribe. Wait, did the high schooler make it, Weldon? Cooper, my boy?
Sadie Englehart? No, she was last place.
Cooper.
What?
He didn't get in?
If you want this as a podcast, join the Supporters Club, let'srun.com/subscribe. No, the high schooler was not in the meet.
Okay, and this is the other thing that's just not creative about USATF. The lack of vision. Like, I would have the honorary false start for the stars. I would also have the top high schooler in every event gets in. Period. Maybe the minimum standard. But we want to see the 9th grader Cooper. That kid's kick sick. He definitely would have made the next round today. So people are mad that Jager's using a 2-year-old race to boost his ranking. Yes, he is. But
I mean, it is sort of crazy, right? Oh, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Jonathan Galt joining us from the stands at Hayward Field. Not sure we can hear Jonathan Galt, though.
He's muted.
Sorry, I got the good camera. Had to get the good camera hookup as well, guys. Yeah, I'm back like I never left. It's
Very
funny.
Windy,
I left.
John. Very windy.
John, is it very windy there?
It doesn't feel windy. I can try to go somewhere where it's less windy.
Good now. Just don't shake your head.
Okay. Anyway, it's funny. I left the podcast and I hear you guys. We were complaining about USATF and the trials operations. I get back on the podcast 20 minutes later, and you're still complaining about USATF and the trials.
John, it's like everyone has their ticks when they talk, and that's Robert. There's nothing he can go to, so he just goes to USATF. Speaking of people talking, John, did you hear anything about the debate at the trials today, John? Presidential debate.
There wasn't much talk about it. I thought Chavez had that working desk, the walking desk contraption that you strap it on with a backpack type thing. I don't know. And I saw he had the debate up briefly. Sounded like I saw one tweet saying Biden didn't look great, but that was really just one tweet. I wasn't watching it. Anyway, I do have. There's a comment here. Stone that the builder refused. Jonathan, streets are saying Quincy Wilson got a louder cheer than any athlete ever at Oregon, more than Allison Felix. Well, he got the loudest cheers of this meet. I couldn't compare to like previous trials, but he was a big deal.
No, John. Well, I don't know. I wasn't there for the intros for what half these meets, but no way. Like I feel like the old Hayward was louder. They used to go nuts for the Oregon guys.
Weeding that 800. Oh my God.
Allison Felix I don't think was the loudest. It was the Oregon people.
Yeah, probably Oregon 08. That's the one. The 800 sweep. That's the one they say is the biggest cheer ever at Hayward. Okay.
By the way,
so do you want to learn?
No, I need a tech guy on here just real quick. I've always thought about this. I want to get like a contraption, and I put it in the middle of the Olympic trials every year, and I can also do this for every sporting. We'll try it out the trials, and then we'll move this to all stadiums, and we put like a device in the middle of the infield, and it just measures the sound throughout the entire trials, and then we figure out what was the loudest moment. That'd be kind of cool. Right?
That would be fun. I'd enjoy that. Yeah, I'll send it up to Max Siegel when I get my next press conference media availability with him. Okay, so you want to hear what Marissa Howard had to say? Because I finished interviewing her, and I put it to her essentially like, how do you explain this improvement? What happened in those 930 races? And she couldn't totally explain it. She was like, I wasn't expecting that big a breakthrough, but she said that her training, she'd been running good workouts. Her training was going well, and she just didn't race very well. And she felt like it was a mental block. She was just like saying that she felt she spent too much time comparing herself to others, and she deleted, I don't know if she deleted social media. She got off her social media accounts the last few weeks and felt that she made this mental breakthrough. I don't know. I think she was also somewhat at a loss to totally explain it, because how do you explain a performance like that? But that was what she said. The one thing is, the last few years, she hasn't had any sort of sponsorship really since 2017 with Wazell. And she said she doesn't really get to run a lot of big races. She doesn't get to run a lot of diamond leagues or anything. And so she's not getting in fast races as much against good competition. Really, it's at USA's, and she always does like pretty well at USA's. So I think that's part of it, is maybe if she had been traveling to some bigger races the last few years, she would have a slightly faster PB, but still getting down to 907 is it's still hard to explain.
I mean, stunning.
The man. She's a religious person, John. The man upstairs picked her this week. She said she would have loved him even if she hadn't run well, which is good, because when I hear people say, "Oh, and I try to go to church, stuff like that, but I'm always wondering, okay, well, why would God pick you to win the race and not somebody else? So I like how she said, "Hey, I would have loved him either way," or she. I don't know if she refers to God as male or female in this day and age of non-binary controversy. Anyways, who is her coach, John? Do we know who coaches her? Where's she living?
Yeah, she lives in Boise. She's coached by Pat McCurry, who I believe is the coach of Boise State. She's been with him for the last 8 years. She trains with Lizzie Bird, who's a 907 steepler for Great Britain. And so she kind of said, like, I've been training with her, and I knew I wasn't getting totally like blown away in workouts and stuff. So I knew that was one of the things that kind of clued me in. I might be in pretty good shape. But I said, how do you support yourself? You have this small tracksmith partnership she's had since 2022. And her answer, yeah, she is quite religious. She said the Lord provides, but she said it's essentially her and her husband and her son, and they all get by on her husband's teacher's salary, because once she had her kid, and she was working, I think, as a nurse's assistant or something like that. I don't totally remember the job, but once she had her son in 2022, between running and being a mom, she didn't really have time to do something else on the side. So yeah, they have somehow made it work, and now she's an Olympian. And yeah, congrats to her for sticking it out, because I didn't want to be rude when I asked this, but I said, given that you didn't have a sponsor for so long and, weren't making teams, did you consider sort of walking away at any point? Did you consider retiring? She said, no, I wanted to keep going. And she felt that she basically thought eventually she could make a team, but she also said, look, the United States is one of the most competitive teams to make in the whole world. So even if I retired and I didn't make a team, I could still, feel pretty content, because it's not an easy thing to do. But yeah, what a story to make your first team at 31.
Side note, Elizabeth Bird is a Princeton alum. So she's European bronze medalist. John, I can't believe her PB is 907. Her PB in college for Princeton was 954. So she too has improved a lot since that's not true. Yeah, no, it was true. Anyways. John, I was going through some logic here. I was having a really hard time picking the men's 5,000 meter team. I think we've seen it at the world stage. Like, if you have speed, it's hard to get dropped and out kicked. I mean, it's hard, if you don't get dropped, the 1,500 meter guy wins the 5,000. But
well, I'll tell you how the race is going to go, and I have my three. I mean, it's going to be a great final, because you've got a lot of really good guys in this race. I'm very excited for it. But we were talking to McGordy, we talked to Fisher, and they both kind of said the same thing. They're like, we know some of these guys stepping up from the 1,500, how good their kicks are. Like, they saw that 1,500 final. They know Cole Hawker's an animal. And so how do you try to beat Cole Hawker? Well, you can't let it come down to the last 400. Can't let it come down to the last 800. You got to try to drop that guy. So Abdi Noor, we saw in the final last year, he took off with like a K to go. I would expect him or Fisher are really going to try to rip I would expect them to go with like a mile to go or something and just try to shake Cole Hawker, because Fisher knew, he's like, look, I don't want to share all my secrets, but logic would kind of dictate that with a guy with the kick that strong, you need to shake him before the end. So my team, right? Let's make some picks here. All right, my team. I've been banging the Cole Hawker drum since he won that 1,500. I just think the guy's ridiculously good right now. I picked him for the win, and then I'm going Fisher and Noor as my 2 and 3. What do you guys say?
Well, I mean, Hawker's chances are certainly helped by the fact that when the race goes off at 4:30 p.m., it's going to be the hottest part of the day. It's going to be 79 degrees and sunny in Eugene. So good luck running fast. I said earlier, if it was over 13:30, Hawker obviously would win it. I was tempted to pick him. I'm also tempted to say that Fisher, I'm a Jerry Schumacher guy. I'm tempted to say that Fisher's no better than he was last year, but I'm also tempted to say, oh, he's at a new level. I can't make up my mind. And I think that I ended up picking a thing which makes no sense, because I'm a coward. I've always said Cooper Tier is never going to make the Olympic team. And when I changed my picks today, I think I went Fisher, Nerd, Tier, which doesn't make any sense. How is Tier going to out?
You left Hawker off the team, Robert?
Yeah, I just thought, like, he's not really a 5,000 guy. He was getting smoked at USA Cross Country. And, like, the only thing that made me doubt it was, I was like, well, Ners won USA's last year. He's a 13:04 guy. So he was beating all these guys at 13:04. So maybe Tier 12:58 is good enough to win it. But I thought maybe he didn't really care. He's going to be tired. It's going to be warm. He's just going to bag it. But he looked motivated today, and he looked excited to win it. So
yeah, I guess the data point I'm ignoring here is the Millrose Games 2 mile, because Cole Hawker raced against Grant Fisher in that race, and Grant Fisher just started grinding with like a mile to go and dropped Cole and beat him by a couple seconds. So I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, how does Cole Hawker lose? I'm like, well, that's how he loses. Grant Fisher does what he does at Millrose and runs something fast. But the time of day, Robert, that is a good point. Millrose, it's indoors, it's nice conditions there. 79 and sunny, it's just hard to grind out from the front.
But you can play it both ways. It was like one time NCAA Cross, this is 15, 20 years ago, NCAA Cross was muddy. And people, this is going to hurt Colorado. And someone's like, it's going to slow it down. It can become a kicker's race. Someone's like, no, it's going to make the race longer. It's going to help the grinded out team. And you could argue that, it's harder to break. It's hard to run in the heat. But you got to just remind yourself, if you're grinding from the front, it's hot for everybody else. And it actually makes it a more difficult race. It makes it a longer race, which may help Fisher. So I think my logic on that was, I don't really know I don't know how I picked near second. I wish I hadn't done that. I wish I'd gone with your picks, John. But I played both ways. I put Tier on the team, and I can say I didn't doubt Tier. God, pathetic.
Rob Weldon, Mr. Famous Fence Sitter, do you have any opinions on the 5K?
And we'll get my picks. Of course, I never changed them. I had Fisher, Nuhr, and Tier for the same reason Century Robert had. Was that his order? Robert, were you Fisher, Nuhr, and Tier?
Yes.
I would. Once again, I won't win the contest because I'm busy running. Running a conglomerate here. I don't have time to change picks.
Yeah, everyone.
People. I fired a couple guys today.
Everyone paying the Let'sRun.com podcast drinking game. You can take your drink for Weldon blaming the fates and his busy life for not making his picks on time. This is a contest staple.
Robert's thing also now, he'll go offline to drink, show that he's drinking a beer. It's really bizarre. It's 12:30, dude.
I don't want people to see. I don't want the youngsters to see me drinking. By the way, what happened to our audience? The other night we had like 7 times the audience we have tonight.
Because it was a Thursday night and there was one track final. It's 12:45 a.m. on a Thursday night on the East Coast. Yeah, that's why.
That was
I
Monday
just realized,
night.
Robert, you're not seeing that I didn't go live on Twitter. My apologies to everyone on Twitter.
Monday night, we had good races to talk about. This one, we've got one great steeple final and then a whole lot of nothing. Like, what were the big stories of the other events? I guess Pulchalimo was eliminated in the 5K, but that's really not a shock given how he ran in the 10. Anyone else? Any other drama? I mean, Erriyon Knighton ran the 200. He did not stop in the mix zone to talk. And I actually, what did you guys think of Knighton and how he looked? Because I was kind of thinking he'd come out with a vengeance and just kick ass, and everyone made it through, so it's not like he had to really go run anything crazy. But I was like, oh, maybe he looks a little rusty, but maybe I'm just reading too much into it because he hasn't raced.
I thought he looked not as good as I thought he might look, but I thought, okay, he can make the team with that. But it's not going to be easy. Courtney Lindsay and crew.
I'm seeing now he ran 20.15. Only Lyles went faster, so maybe I'm just hallucinating here. But I was watching, I was like, yeah, maybe I'm totally freaking out about a qualifying round where everyone's going to make it through.
How did Sha'Carri run 22 high for 2 times this year?
Well, that's the thing. Sha'Carri looked amazing. That is the other thing. She ran 21.9 and was essentially jogging across the finish line. I watched that. I was like, yeah, how is this the same woman who went to China and got, beaten twice? I don't know. Maybe it was just the travel out there was a pain in the ass or something. None of the times was super fast out there, but she looked like a totally different woman. And I was like, wow, 21.9. What is she going to do in her versus Thomas in the final? I had Thomas as like, a big favorite coming into this meet, but after how Sha'Carri looked in the prelims, that could be a fun race.
I didn't think Knighton looked amazing, but I'm looking at his splits here. He's ahead of Lyles at 50, ahead of Lyles at 100, ahead of Lyles at 150. Now, he did have a 1.2 win. Lyles had a 0 win. But I don't know. I was just pleased that he's like my Fred Curley of the 200. I just want him on the team. I think he's a way better 200-meter runner than Lindsay. And Otto Bolden was like, there's only one spot left. Bednarik and Lyles are on the team. But are we really doubting a 19.4 guy? Like, I don't see how anyone else makes the team. Like,
Well, Courtney
maybe-
Lindsay was running well earlier this year in 1971. Courtney Lindsay beat Tobogo earlier this year. So I think his form recently, I'm trying to remember if he might have gotten beaten, but he's a guy who could be a factor. But I do think Lyles, Bednarik, and Knighton, that's my team right now. Robert, have you guys talked at all about Kashane Thompson at the Jamaican trials today?
That would be a negative, John. By the way, Courtney Lindsay was 6th in the 100, 9:10:02, and he did get beat in Doha. He ran 20.01 in his Ampre, 20.09. No, he did not. What happened, John?
Okay, so it was the opening round of the Jamaican championships. Kashane Thompson ran 9.82, tied the world lead in his first race of the season. So this is only the first round. And if you remember this guy, last year, he ran 9.91 in the first round, which was a big PB at the time. He's 22 right now, so he was 21 at the time. It was also his first race of the season back in 2023, and he's essentially like quite injury prone, is my understanding. So they intentionally didn't even run the semis and the finals, even in a world championship year, because they were worried about him maybe breaking down. But then the end of the season, he ran 9.85 in Jaman and 9.87 at the pre-classic. This year, again, had not raced all season and then drops a 9.82 in the Jamaican championships. So I don't know. I mean, that is, can we just say it's a little fishy? You don't race at all and then you show up. I mean, maybe they are just
it's not
trying
fishy.
to.
Please, John.
What do you mean it's not fishy? He doesn't
Not
race
fishy
at
at
all,
all.
and then he just the second year in a row drops this incredible time out of nowhere. Didn't even try to make the team last year.
He tried to make the team. He ran the heats. But, okay, well, here's his races last year. Jacksonville, Kingston. But after not making the team, I think it's brilliant coaching. If you've got a really injury-prone guy, I mean, check out this guy until it's job. This guy's PRs. 1088 in 2018, 1089 2018, 1047 2019, 1056 in 2020, 1021 in 2022. And then he runs 95. So he's got an injury-prone guy. I had forgotten about this guy, John, until you just mentioned it now. And then last year, though, it's not like he hid and didn't race. He went to Monaco. He went to Sifang. He went to Xiaoman, China, and he ran the Diamond League final. So if he wanted to really just hide away, he would do what those Turkish 1,500-meter women did, which is just like never race, show up at the Olympics, win it, and walk off into history. So it's like Marcel Jacobs. When he burst onto the scene and won the Olympics, I was like, this is the shadiest guy I've ever seen. I don't think he'll ever race again if he's smart. And now the fact that he's been racing all the time, indoors, outdoors, Europeans, I'm like, okay, I'm going to believe he's clean. But this, to me, is even more believable of a story to me. So it's a little bit strange you wouldn't have the prep races, but I'm sorry. If the guy goes to Monaco, Jean-Main, and the Diamond League final, that's not that shocking to me. Well,
Now he's coached by Stephen Francis, who is the same coach as Sharika Jackson, has coached Elaine Thompson-Herah and Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price in the past. And yeah, Francis did say at the time, like when they pulled out, they said this was the plan. It's to try to keep him healthy. And it was interesting because we asked Noah Lyles, or Anderson Emerald asked Noah Lyles in the mix zone about it. He's like, hey, did you hear where he ran? And Lyles was like, no, I didn't realize, they ran today. And he's like 982. What's your reaction? He's like, that's good if he stays healthy, basically, because Lyles knows his reputation. But this guy, I mean, showing up and dropping a 982 in your first race of the season. Yeah, I guess we'll see how the next two rounds go. But 982, you're tied for the world lead to a month and a half out of the Olympics. Like that's making a statement right there. But he's got to make the team first.
Well, this is great for Rojo's prediction that Noah Lyles would never gold. I mean, this is just like, this is I didn't know Shane Thompson existed. I totally forgotten about the guy. Don't remember him in the Diamond League final. Oh my God. I might have to get a Shane shirt made if he pulls off the 100-meter double, 100-meter win here. Oh wait, I've received a text back, folks. See, I mean, I'm well connected. Received a text back. Craig Engels did want to run the 800 at the trials. They didn't let him in. What a joke! What an absolute joke! Why didn't he race more though? Didn't he need a time? Like, everybody knew he had no chance in the 1500. The 800 is kind of weak in the U.S.
Well, same thing. People are asking here where Devin Allen is. Devin Allen didn't qualify for the meet, so he couldn't run it. I don't know if he's physically able to run, but he doesn't have qualifying time. I would hope to God they would just let him in, give him a pass. But that's another guy that should be some announcement about. Maybe we should reach out to him. I think I might have his number. But John, this Thompson guy, he never run fast till last year. Am I missing something? He was
No,
a
his
10-2
his PB was 10:21. Now, granted, he was only 21 last year. Like, he ran 2021. That is kind of the age where you start to make big breakthroughs. But no, last year was where he went from being 10-2 guy to suddenly one of the fastest guys in the world.
It seems weird to me, but they must have the reason that you just open the Jamaican championships. But the question mark for him now is, like, this guy has never run 2 days in a row. Or, I mean, he's going to have 2 more races tomorrow, I assume. So good luck. I mean, the Olympics will be way more interesting if he's there, but I think there's a decent chance he doesn't even make the team tomorrow.
Yeah, you got to hold up. Like, if you haven't been racing all season, suddenly you got to race fast, because you've got guys like Seville, you've got guys like Akeem Blake. That's not an easy team to make in Jamaica.
Why would you run 982? Well, why wouldn't you just chill?
Maybe because the 9.7's coming tomorrow, Robert. We'll see.
Wait, one more thing. This show has gone on way too long for having one race. Oh, no.
Wait. Do they have a discretionary spot, John, or is it top 3?
Jamaica usually has a discretionary spot, do they not? I'm not 100% sure on how their trials work.
Okay, here's the crazy thing. Would it be crazy if this guy sets the world record tomorrow?
Yes. But that's where I was going, Robert. Could this be the next Bolt? This actually sounds like such phenom talent. Could he have way more talent than Lyles? But John, the show has gone on way too long. What the hell are these cards? Am I just old? I don't know what these cards are, and I figured it was just sort of a sideshow, but now he's like whipping them out the thing. Like, or is he just sort of a nerdy guy? Like, does everyone in America under the age of 30 know what these cards are, and I'm just old, or is this a very sort of sideshow thing?
It's not for everyone. Yu-Gi-Oh! Was around when I was in high school, and honestly, like, when I was in middle school and high school, it was kind of lame. Like, if you were a Yu-Gi-Oh! Fan, you were kind of a loser. But I think the perception has changed in the 15 years since I've been in high school, and now it's more of whatever you like, you just embrace. Like, Noah Lyles likes anime and Yu-Gi-Oh! And people love him for it because that's exactly who he's being authentic. That's who he is. So I think it's someone of your age wouldn't be expected to know what it is, and a lot of people don't know who it is, but the people who do know it are quite passionate about it, and this is something Noah enjoys. He's having fun with, so that's why he's bringing it out.
Okay. Those of you watching the live show on YouTube, by the way, Weldon forgot to go live on Twitter. Our numbers have tripled because Twitter's where the people are at. People are watching now. If you're just joining us on Twitter, you can go to YouTube and watch the whole show from start to finish. We're going to watch this 100. I've got a clip from x.com. Here's this guy. Let's watch it. What lane is he in? We don't even know. It's going to be better to see him jump out. Oh my God.
Sandra Davison as well. Look at Shane Thompson exploding now and going away from the pack. 9.81 seconds. Oh, that was
it didn't look like
he was the win. That didn't look that fast.
The timing,
right? He didn't destroy those guys. Oh my God, he's jacked though.
Confirmed as 9.82.
He reminds me of Safa Powell, his body.
Thompson looked ominous, and he has laid down the gun.
Can y'all hear the audio in the background, or is that not playing?
Yeah, we hear it.
We can hear the background. We can all hear the audio. Yeah.
Sandra Davis, a new person.
Well, that was pretty cool. All right. I mean, there's always this race, John. It was just like the women's steeple. They probably started at the wrong place. I think that's the conclusion from the night.
No,
When
what are you
get
talking
time-
about? This guy ran 9.85 last year. I totally believe he can run a 9.82 in a one-off race. My question is, can he run a 9.8 in the final tomorrow night when he needs to make the team?
Yeah, but that's the question. Arturo's saying he's nearly Ben Johnson, Jack. This guy's not even close to Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson and Asafa Powell are like a whole nother level of jacked.
Okay, let's wrap this one up. It's pretty late on the East Coast. I still have this steeple story to write, and I got to get some food. And yeah, look, I don't know how we went an hour and 20 minutes on a day when there was one track final, but somehow we did it. We do it for you guys, the Supporters Club members, or those tuning in live. Thank you for listening.
I said there
to
was
us.
no reason to do that, but I've missed you guys for 2 days, and I wanted the shows to be 30 minutes. Even though we kind of previewed the other stuff, I can't pick this men's 5,000. It's gonna be a great race. Really.
Well, you got 2 days to think it over, Robert. I'm glad to see that you're back in your office and that Weldon paid the ransom to your kidnappers and you're not in that van anymore.
I know I was abducted. They wouldn't let me go to Eugene. They knew if I got out there, there'd be too much journalism excellence.
If you're on Twitter, follow us. YouTube, hit like. But you got to join the Supporters Club. If you like this, you want a super soft t-shirt, savings on running shoes, use code CLUB25. Go to letsrun.com/subscribe. Use code CLUB25. Save 25%. Well, right here, Rojo to see you. Sorry, Rojo, I don't think you're up for it. But Centro was in speculation, Robert. Centro was great. I mean, Rojo may be replaced by Centro by next week. So I don't think Robert knows that, but Centro offered to come back on. He's like Rojo, but with a name. So
Has Mike Smith been hired to see you yet, or?
Ooh, that wasn't a name we brought up, but that's a good one.
Oh, someone suggested that name to me. I just kind of assumed he liked Flagstaff too much, but Colorado probably could pay him more than NAU, right? I just think he likes being in Flagstaff, but
in the NIL era. But Mike's good enough that he can get a pro deal.
Okay, Chuck Lama saying our t-shirts are weak. If you don't like the yellow t-shirt, the blue t-shirt and the long sleeve t-shirt. I have people who don't run. Robert, some guy ordered like 20 of them, right? Like they're so soft. They're amazing t-shirts. Like Chuck, email me. I will mail you a shirt for free.
You're the first person I've ever seen complain about the Let's Run t-shirt, Chuck. They're amazing.
Absolutely astounding. And if you don't like just saying letsrun.com, you can get like a 159 t-shirt, but like they're really good shirts, especially the long sleeve. I think is long sleeve the best. I like the.
They're all good. Well, then they're all good, but can't go wrong with the classic yellow as well. And you know what? You look great at a track meet when you're wearing them. When I see someone wearing I saw someone wearing the Kipchoge goat shirt today at Haywood Field. It just is. It's a sign that says, I know track. I'm a serious track fan. I know where to go to get my news. I look at someone, and if someone's wearing a Let's Run shirt, my opinion of them immediately goes up. So thank you for supporting us at the trials.
John, it goes even higher when you're taking their Let's Run shirt off.
All right. And with that, it's time to cut Rojo off. Had one too many beers, perhaps. Always nice talking track with you guys. We'll be back tomorrow from Eugene with more track action. Until then, so long.